professor and researcher, and also she has got the awards such as Best Teacher Award 2018, Women Researcher Award 2018, and she's also participated in the research papers at international conferences. She's a principal investigator of funded research projects from ISRO 2020 to 2022 and CMRG projects since 2025. She is the principal consultant for consultancy projects on AI. She is holding one granted Indian patent and two filed patents. She has received NVIDIA GPU grant under Academic Seed Program 2018. She was a university coordinator and technical committee member for Apple Incubation Center Anna University. And she was a CEO in charge and now professor in charge and one of the board directors of AIC AU Incubation Foundation, Section 8 company in Anna University. She is a nodal officer for establishment of centralized data management center for International Center for Research Facilitation and Training, funded with 30 lakhs under Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Fund. She has got 11 scholars completed PhD under her guidance, and she is currently guiding six research scholars in Anna University. And she is a professional ACM member, life member of the Indian Society of Technical Education, ISTE, New Delhi, and life member of the Computer Science Society of India, CSI, Mumbai. I now request our chief guest, Dr. Chitrakala, to welcome the gathering.
I know that it's very difficult to listen from my session during the lunchtime. Actually, the actual session was supposed to be 1 to 2:30, and of course, due to some other administrative reasons, how to take now. Anyway, I know that it's a like there are some all students or AC department students. And of course, the topic is on generative AI. I don't know how much basic details you all know about AI, but of course, I know that you're all the users of ChatGPT. So you know that generative AI is ruling the world right now, right? So here the theme of this national symposium is on smart agriculture. In the region, generative AI technology, how it can be used for smart agriculture. And this is the agenda today. First, I'll introduce what is all about generative AI and what are the technology types available, right? And how about the adaptation for smart agriculture. Let us see a lot of use cases and applications for smart agriculture, how it can be extended. And followed by introduce some tools. And coming to generative AI, you all know the word itself gives a meaning. It is generative AI, right? So it will generate content. Before that, you all know there are two types of modeling. Basically, we have discriminative and generative modeling. In generative modeling, if you see what are the machine learning algorithm, you are very familiar with already, right? Supervised learning algorithm, where it will simply discriminate this from the other, or you want to classify all those deduction mechanisms come under discriminative. Can I have your attention, please? So the other one is generative modeling. It is totally opposite of that. It is not going to discriminate mere discrimination. It is going to have some intelligence in such way that it is going to generate. I think you are all using ChatGPT nowadays. You could remember that the early version of ChatGPT, you might have used only to ask questions, right? It was like mere chatbot answering your questions. Later on, they have added multiple modalities of input. Now, I hope whenever you have any MCQ exams, you take a pic of that, you pass it as input, you are expecting the answer very immediately. And you could observe that the response time, the moment you upload the question, how fastly it is digesting the question, how fastly it is interpreting the questions and preparing the answers, formalizing it, putting it in a proper way, whatever you expect. After it provides the initial results, it will ask you further way of improving your results also. It will ask you whether you want a PPT version or you want a handout version, something like that. So all those things, whenever you give the word simple one yes, it will prepare everything in that form. So in that case, not the mere chatbot. It takes all modalities, right? And I think you all know about Gemini, right? So although it is a multi-modal generative AI mechanism based use of, that's why it is able to take text, image, audio, video, everything as an input. Right? We are not restricted to give only textual questions. And because you are very familiar with the Siri Alexa, right? Alexa, Siri and all, you can simply put your question in voice form. It will convert the voice to text, it will interpret the question, it will prepare the answer. And while preparing the answer also, it is a domain specific one. It cannot answer for all questions. Sometimes you may have had an experience, it will say that I am not aware of this, I am not expert in this, I don't know this answer. Some kind of response we have received in Alexa or Siri. But right now, the content has been exposed to the system. The system has learned all possible ways. That's why we used to say million, billion parameters are getting learned by the system. That means that so many fields of vast knowledge have been given to the system. So it is learning, it is remembering in terms of parameters, so that it is able to answer for any questions better. So these are the flavors where you can experience generative AI. Simply you can ask set an alarm for tomorrow morning. It will say that your alarm is set. What are my alarms? It will simply recollect and tell you. It's very basic one, right? Generating the query and response for whatever you ask for. It does the job. It gives back the reply. The other one, see, I'm writing an essay about something. Can you give me 3 arguments in favor? Even you can expect the same system to give back against also. It will have a debate for it, right? And act as a JavaScript developer, write a program that checks the information on a form. Name and email required, but at this stage not required. Like that, you can put your restriction. Whatever the thing you ask for, accordingly it will prepare. And the second one, act as a JavaScript developer, it should possess the development expertise, right? For developing a program in Java. That is also possible nowadays, code development on its own. And you see the last one, create a web page about me page. I'll give all my expertise, it will create a very good web page for me with the proper formalizing and attractive layout design also, right? And when you observe the time to reach the public, how much time it took, no? That gives the importance of this area, right? So you could observe that earlier days, the point is Google Translate, Uber, Telegram, Spotify, Insta, TikTok, all those things took these many months to reach the public. But you just observe only 2 months for ChatGPT. Right now you cannot live without ChatGPT. So you are all the end user of ChatGPT, but you all must know what is the technology behind it. This is not only ChatGPT, there are very many areas where we can adapt ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, generative AI. So if you observe generative AI, this is the place where it is, right? So on the whole, it comes under AI, and under that you have ML real mechanisms, it adapts real mechanisms, and under that we have this generative AI. Of course, it has an AI, it has an intelligence, but in what way it can generate? So what can be generated? It can generate not only text, it can generate image, audio, video, music, code, even 3D objects, 3D avatars, everything it can generate on its own. Even any synthetic data. We will talk everything on this detail later. And I think I have given some more details of fundamental definition for chat generative AI. It can create a new content. Of course, it can be unsupervised or semi-supervised. Whereas in the case of discriminative, purely it was supervised learning. I think hope you all know about types of learning. And you see the third point. It is able to paint like one park, right? You know who is one park. And it can write text, even it can write stories also. You can design any interior patient design, and non-existent landscape can be developed, right? Whatever the material content it is going to create, it is so fresh. It's not prevailing already. It is a so novel one. as you are expected to do, it can also. And even avatars can be created, music can be created. So when it was introduced generative AI, every field they were all afraid of their employment scenario, right? Of course, it is. The employment rate is of course getting reduced because of this. Even if you take music, right? Even if you take lyric generation, that is also possible now. Everything, music composition, so everything it can do. And of course, with respect to the product development, earlier days when any product needs to be developed, so first you start with design, then prototype development, and test it. At the end, if you find that it is not the suitable one, what you are expected, again you have to start from the scratch, right? So the time taken to reach the market will be more earlier days, but now here everything you can simulate before in hand. You can create a scenario and you can think that if I go this way, this design it may not work out later. Or if this is the way, it may be an efficient design. So all those decision making is also possible. And these are some of generative AI. So it can generate images like this. So it can be an input, ground truth. I want this kind of output, it can generate from this only the outlines, right? Even you can generate the speech waveform also. You can generate a handwritten. You can specify that you generate the some text similar to this person handwriting. That is also possible. And even the conversation. You all know that conversational AI assistant, any chatbot development. Whatever you talk, it should understand, it should reply back. Again, you are talking back, in turn it has to respond, right? So it's a multi-turn conversation, efficiently to be done, that is also possible here. And why all of a sudden this generative AI came into picture, right? Of course, earlier days, recently only AI geared the speed, but generative AI within some time it got the whole world, right, under its technology, just because we have large and large data sets available, right? Everything is, what is it? We are living in an internet era. Everything is digitized. So we have lot and lot of data sets available, and computation power has been improved a lot. Earlier, GPU were not existing. Now, because of the advent of graphical processing unit, and of course the cloud facility is there, you are able to handle large data. You are able to make out some hint out of it. So that is one more. And of course, innovative deep learning models helped a lot to make this technology to come up like anything. And these are the function as I said earlier. So it can generate the content on its own, right? And it can chat like this. It can translate one language to the other language. Any natural language processing, it is very good at, right? Not only language, even for image, video, audio, music, or code generation, design generation. See, even you see the last one, idea generator. You can ask, generate 3 ideas for something. I want to start a company on some area. Please suggest me some ideas. So it is able to provide the new ideas also, right? So everything is, we call it a synthesis or creation or generation. So now you might have had another session on AI, I hope so. You should know the difference between that session and this session. So in AI, you might have seen all predictive analytics, all kind of possible analytics on the agricultural data. But now we are talking about only how to generate the new content. What kind of new generation, new simulation is possible for agricultural data. And these are the possible use cases for all other domains I listed, like implementing chatbot, deepfake for mimicking the people, right? Even if I want to generate my avatar, mimicking myself with my attitude, way of speaking, right? My way of body language, I can create, right? That is a synthesis of deepfakes. And then improving the dubbing. Right now we are working on this area. Having given a silent video, we are generating the audio, speech, and it will be lip synced with the character scores on that. So in that case, suppose if I give one speech input, I am expecting to it will talk like me, or it will talk like somebody else. You know, dubbing artists work, right? Because we facing. And writing the email responses, resumes, profiles, everything, even term papers. Of course, you all know that. You may be using it. And creating the photorealistic art in a particular style, right? If I wanted to be cartoonic image, it will generate. Or normal other creation, it will generate. And improving the product demo videos. You all know if any product you want to demonstrate to the end user or users, it is a very technical. And suggesting new drug compounds, right? For pharmacy industry, it is also helpful. So it is identifying all possible correlation among the compounds. It will come up with a new drug compounds and designing the product, designing the building also. Design is a very big area actually on its own. And optimizing the chip, right? Everywhere, wherever you want to have optimization, it is a very helpful tool. And writing and music and all those things. So now let us see very quickly because I have to finish it sometime around 1 o'clock. So I can simply show the technology name. I'll move on to the smart agriculture scenario. So you all know, you might have come across this word, generative adversarial network, GAN. So GAN is the one which is used to synthesize or create image very newly, right? So that is capable of generating visual or even multimedia outputs. But we have to provide both image and textual input. So according to the text, the image can be generated, right? And then another is VAE, variational autoencoder. It is generate the images but with the help of encoder decoder combination. The internal arrangement is slightly different. And we have transformer based model. I think we don't know about this because under that only we have large language models. And of course Google's BERT algorithm, BERT, right? BERT, bidirectional encoder representation from transformers. This transformer is especially for language processing capability. If you provide any textual thing, because as you all know, the text is a continuous sequence of input. It's not like one word, right? I keep on talking. It has to take my entire input. It cannot decide on one word I utter, right? It must know what I talked earlier, sometime before, or previous word. So all those things to be correctly correlated. So for that, the long-term sequence handling is better with transformers. So under that only we have LLM and OpenAI GPT, right? The GPT is a generative pre-trained transformer. So generative in the sense it has the capability of generating something new with the help of pre-trained models. And you may have a question because for your project you might have used the pre-trained models. So when pre-trained models are there, you can fine-tune it for your need. Whatever the project you want to do, based on the data set you have, you can slightly fine-tune according to your need. So it is available for us with the help of transformer model. So I am skipping, of course in GAN network we have generated and discriminated model. It goes hands in hand. You must know how it is like a magic. It is generating the image, right? So here the input starts with a random error or a noise only. So from the noise, it is trying to generate some image that is called fake image, fake sample. And we have one more path, that is a discriminator, that will distinguish whatever it has generated first shot with the actual how it should be. So the difference between that, now it is taken care and it will check. Again it will update the model, again it will generate that one. So like that it is an iterative process. So it keeps on refining the whatever the thing it is generating image. At one point of time the generated one is exactly looking like the original what I expected. Then it comes out. It is announcing that the result has been generated. I have a question. It is already input real image we are giving. It is simply generating a similar one. It is getting trained like that. So thereafter, for any other scenario, it can generate on its own. And of course, under transformer, as I said, here, VAE and transformer models. I am skipping this. And GPT, as I said, generative pre-trained transformer. And of course, GPT-3 is very well used for text generation, new generation and the translation, even summarization. Having given 3 pages, 4 pages to it, it will nicely summarize for you. Bring out the precise, concise content. Right? You might have done in your school days, right? Comprehension. 2 pages you are asked to write it in 1 paragraph. So with 1 paragraph, you should not lose the essence of the content. At the same time, it has to rewrite also, right? With the correct format. And of course, question answering. And I'm skipping this. And of course, I want you to at least have an idea what are all the technology available. Of course, we have DALL-E 2. That is from text to image synthesis. If you give only prompting, one query, one sentence, it will generate image for you nicely. Right? In around 5-6 years before we started with generative projects, that time we used to say, create an image of a bird with this color beak, this color body, something like that we will say. It will generate nicely. But nowadays, recently, based on the prompt engineering, we are able to generate, we are able to generate an image with the prompt, lion eating biryani in a dining table. That we are able to make it possible, right? Because the prompt engineering makes sense. Whatever the sentence you take, that will be expanded better with the prompt engineering. Then it will generate the appropriate images. It will synchronize objects in such a way that meaningful images are coming out as a result. Right? And we have stable diffusion clip. You might have heard about clip. That is the contrastive language image pre-training. So we have to give it as a pair. This text along with image. Both will get trained. Thereafter it is able to generate the images better. And stable diffusion and all those. And coming to LLM, so this is the talk of the day, right? So everywhere LLMs are being used. This is large language model. So it is for language models where it is able to generate the languages, or it can translate, it can summarize, it can answer for the questions. All language processing taken care. But what is it large? Large is with respect to, it is trained on very massive data set. So it is LLM. I think we have heard about SLM also. We have one more small language model, right? That is going to the data slides. So LLM is there everywhere. So it is generating a human-like textual output. You cannot even distinguish whether it is a system-generated output or the human has generated. That much brilliant results are there. And what are the capabilities of LLM? What all the places it can be used? So for the content creation, augmentation. For example, for some car manufacturer, if they want to write advertisement content, right, it will create, right? So for that, how do you only small information? It will nicely create a very innovative advertisement content. And the augmentation. So there are very many deep learning models. You all know that it requires lot and lot of data to get trained. So how to have all those data available? So creation of the large data set also possible. As I said, summarization, question answering, machine translation, classification, NER, named entity recognition. That means that, for example, I'm dealing with bioinformatics data. You want the computer to understand the terms related to bioinformatics, right? So it has to identify what are the entities related to that. What is the name, what is the organization name, or something like that you should understand. Depends on the sector you will. So that's for NER. And the tone or a level of content. You can expect the system to write the content professionally as well as with some humorous touch, something like that, right? That is also possible. And code generation, right? And nowadays in software, IT companies started using agentic AI. You all know that, right? AI agents came into picture. So it is replacing the manpower. It's an alarming situation right now. Anyway, there are open source models, proprietary models available. And if you have LLM, how to make it to work for your sector? Either you can make it to get trained on very large data, it is very expensive. Or you can go for fine tuning. Or you can go for RAG. You have to know about this word, RAG. Retrieval Augmented Generation. So generally, if you allow LLM to work on, whatever the data on which it is trained, it is able to do. Right? ChatGPT, you can ask all questions, but can you ask some question very confident or private to the company? Not possible, right? Suppose in some car industry, manufacturing companies there, they have their own database. The database has not been getting trained with the ChatGPT. So you cannot ask questions related to that, you cannot answer because it is not got trained on it. So if any confidential data, private sector, if they want to develop chatbot for their own use, of course, we have to go for retrieval augmented generation, right? So before generate, it will retrieve some necessary content from the private data. With the help of that, LLM will be used to generate the content. As I said, having got LLM to suit your need for your sector domain, you can make it to work like this. RLHO, fine tuning, prompt engineering. Maybe it's more technical, I'm not touching on this. At least you need to know there are 3 flavors available. And one more term I'm introducing, that is GM. That is a multimodal LLM. Multimodal in the sense, we can generate not only text, we can take multimodal input also. Right? Normal LLM can take input as a text. Here, all possible. Image, text, audio, video, graphs, everything. And we got SLM, small language models. Right? This is trained on the small data. You may have a question, where we can use SLM, where can we use large language model. So SLM is the one which can be used for on-device usage. Right? Edge computing. Suppose in edge computing, the edge devices, they have limited power. right? Limited storage capacity and computational power is also limited. So by the time it makes use of SLM. And some plus and minus of LLM, SLM, MLM we have given here. The capabilities. So in LLM, it cannot handle visual or audio understanding. It can understand only text. If it is multimodal only, it can understand everything. So SLM, of course, it is a fast, low resource. It's suitable for edge devices. No need to go for LLM for the edge devices. There you can adopt SLM. Okay? But it cannot do complex tasks because it has been trained on small data sets. Okay, I have simply introduced the basics of generative AI. What are the capabilities? What are the modes it can take input? What are the ways by which it can generate output? All those things. Now let us move on to smart agriculture. How it can be used? There are very many places it can be used. Of course, you all might have heard about precision agriculture in the earlier sessions. So precision in the sense data-driven farming methods. Okay, already AI-driven farming mechanism strategies we will talk about. So here it's not only observing the content by having some sensors deployed, measuring and reporting. In addition to that, apart from that, it moves towards simulation, right? It moves towards scenario planning. So how it will be. For example, if the climate is changed like this, what would be the trap scenario? So in what way I have to provide the fertilization, right? When should I give the irrigation? Right? So all those things can be planned in a better manner before in hand. So for that we have to have the observing the environmental impacts also. For example, today it is in the raining mode, right? Cloudy scenario, and the moisture content is this level, humidity is like this. So by the time when the irrigation should happen. So all those things can be realized, can be simulated before in hand. Then they can decide automatically. So that is the way. So it's simply nothing but transforming your forms into intelligent system, more intelligent. And one more thing is allocation of the resources can be very, very optimal, right? Allocation in the sense starts with water, fertilizers, whatever the resources you are using for your farm can be better optimized. And this is scenario 2025-2034. The marketing size of the generative AI in agriculture is indicated in $1 million. Of course, the rising mode, right? And as I mentioned here, we have it is used for not only for prediction, it is used for knowledge generation, adaptive planning. Okay? So in normal decision support, you all know it will be used for how will be the crop growth and when we have to cultivate the harvesting to happen, when the irrigation should happen. All those things can be better done. Right? And synthetic data is the one. For example, if you want to deal with the pest management, so we cannot have the real pest on the farm and deal with it. Instead, you can simulate the scenario with the pest, right? Rare pest or even the crop stress data sets can be synthetically generated with which your system can be trained. And simulation model, as I said, what will happen if this is the case? What would be the yield estimate, right? So all those things, what if scenario can be better demonstrated with simulation. And one more main thing is that it can design new seeds, right? So that's a very highly challenging task that is also possible. It can come out with the eco-friendly pesticide design. So all those creations is also possible. And of course, for the better communication, to talk to farmers, to give some advice to the farmers, chatbot development, that is also possible. And whenever you say generative AI in agriculture, what are the steps to handle it? Obviously, data collection, then of course pre-processing where you remove all errors, normalize the data, and you go for the model training. For the model training, of course, you are supposed to have historical data. Okay? Suppose you are handicapped with you are not having enough sufficient data for training. You rely on generative AI to synthesize the data to augment your scenario. So that with the help of it, you can create it right. And generally, the generative AI will come up with generation of something that would be sometime planning schedules. It will put a plan, it will put a schedule when all about irrigation or harvesting. All those details can be given them. Right? That is the actionable outcome will be precision irrigation, autonomous machinery, optimizing the fertilizer use. And what are the AI models, generative AI models in Agri 4.0? So already we have introduced GAN, transformer, right, GBT, LLM, okay, stable diffusion. And here also all those things are used here. So LLM, as I already said, LLM is a large language model. It will generate a human-like text. Okay? But of course here in what it can be adapted for provide the advice on the crop management using a chatbot in that angle. And you see the other one, adversarial learning. That means that you can provide some deceptive data to the system to get trained how it would be. So there are some alarming situations which should not happen later, which have to be captured. For example, detect the fraudulent activity in the food supply chain. For the fraudulent activity, you have to synthesize and you have to introduce it to the system. You want the training model to get exposed to it. So that is called adversarial learning. And here GAN network, as I said, it will generate very realistic data. For example, you want to create an image of a fruit, and after some time how it will be ripened. So the ripening of the fruit can be step by step, it can showcase, right? That's for GAN. And of course, simulation model. Suppose you want to have a simulation, what is the impact of the weather on the crop health? If the weather keeps on changing, how would be the crop health? So that instance can be simulated, can be created by this generative AI. And of course, auto-regressive. Regressive is a prediction way it will generate. The new thing is that it can crop yield will be there. Right? That can be predicted. And of course, transformer model. What was a lot of agricultural research materials are there, from which it will come up with the decision making system. And digital twins. You all might have heard about this word, digital twin. Whatever the physical entity you have, it will develop a virtual replica of that. You can have a virtual form, right? Feed the wild relay you can simulate, right? And you can make it to operational also. So how it can be changed? Crop health keeps on growing, fruits are happening, fruits getting ripened. So all those things, the simulation kind of environment you can have. So you simulate even the food quality deterioration, right? So along the supply chain. You know, after the food has been, whatever the product has been developed and created, it would have been gone through so many stages before it reaches the beneficiary. So by the time, how about the deterioration? That can also be predicted. And there are some other applications here. Precision irrigation and nutrient management, right? And as I said, designing the farm layout. The real farm can be simulated. Design also crop breeding, right? So to make the crop to grow stage by stage, what are the facilities or resources are to be better given, right? And agricultural education, right? Like they have anything, all those things are detailed here. So as I said, synthetic data generation, what synthetic data can be generated? So the first one is simulating the crop health, right? So the simulating the crop health, soil condition, weather impact also. So if the condition weather keeps on changing, how about this crop? So something like that, all those things can be generated newly, simulated. When historical data is not good enough, not sufficient, it's sparse. And the other one is synthetic data. For training the predictive model. As I said earlier, learning models require a lot of data, even some amount of data that is not readily available. So that can be synthesized newly, right? And one more thing, early disease and pest detection. See the right side, the farmer is having a mobile app, he is focusing on some leaf. It is showing how the defected leaf, it is going to get affected like this. The disease is going to develop like this. So he has to take immediate action on that. Right? So in that way, it is an early disease detection. Even early pest detection. Because viral the poochi was a problem. So they may not know pest is going to affect the plant. So that can be, earlier it can be predicted and can be showcased like this. And the stages of the disease also. So in due course, how it will get affected. And water and irrigation, because you know the water scarcity is everywhere there. Just like that water need not be given to the plant, as and when required it is to be given. So the irrigation management, automatic irrigation. I think abroad it is already there for a long time before. But still in India, farmers are very reluctant to use the technological inventions. So still we are in the early stage of technology advancement. But anyway here, it can simulate the soil moisture dynamics, right? So how the soil can be changed based on the weather conditions, and it will suggest when and how much to irrigate to save the water, so all those things. And see that one, that is the one, how it will simulate the environment. It will suggest when to be irrigated, so at what stage it is to be done automatically. And one more thing, it will generate a detailed map, right, periodically about the crop health, soil moisture levels, nutrient supplement, everything. And you may have a question for all of them. No, it's site-specific interventions, right? Depends on the farm field. It will give the different personalized maps, health, because for a particular farm field, 1, 2, 3, 4, different crops would have been planted, different weather conditions would be there. Accordingly, in real time, it will do everything it will generate. And of course, crop yield prediction. So, what would be the expected yield after some time, right? That is very much needed for any farmer. Accordingly, they will fix the price everything, right? And then so they can plan the harvesting schedule also. When if it's a fruit, when it is to be planted at correct time, so that there will not be any wastage, right? And crop breeding, as I said, optimizing the crop growth parameters, right? So such as they have to decide on what is appropriate lighting, temperature, humidity are required, that too in a controlled environment, right, to have a better yield. So that can be optimized. And you can also breed new types of crops, as I said earlier, design of the seeds. Right? And fertilizer optimization. So always know the farmers, some of the farmers may not have a good idea how much fertilizer to be given at what stage. So all those things can be dynamically keep on monitoring. It can create a nutrient response curves that indicating how crops respond to the particular nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium levels. Accordingly, they will come to know if you put this much fertilizer, it will affect the plant. So I have to reduce the content. So visually it will showcase all those things. So excess usage can be minimized. And fertilization strategy also can be simulated. And this one, simulation of the crop growth scenario. See this? The field itself, the virtual crop growth has been virtually simulated. It will be like this after some time. After some time, the plant will grow like this. So everything visually simulated. And of course, the risk simulation. So based on the climate. So based on the climate change, what is scenario? Here it is contributing towards simulating it. It's not only mere prediction, yes or no, or or not like that. Right? It is generative modeling. So you see that one, for any field, it will exactly mimic the environment, not only the land size and plants, also the what is that? Weather dynamics also. The weather, for example, if it is in Chennai, if it is in Madurai, if it is in some other place, Delhi, how would be the weather? How about the farmland? Everything can be twinned. That's why it's called digital twin. So it is a virtual replica by simulating the soil, crop, water, and weather dynamics. The word dynamics matters a lot. That means that if we develop one digital twin, Madurai temperature marchna, accordingly it will change here, right? So all those things are called digital twin. And otherwise, you can simply say it is a simulation, virtual simulation. Virtual simulation is the kind, simply you are replacing the digitized physical into digitized scenario. But here, whatever is happening in real field, that will be mimicked with the digitized field also. Right? That's why it is digital twin. And of course, supply chain and market optimization. See, you all know that farmers have to take a call. Whenever there is a demand, they have to go for more supply of the materials. They have to put a lot of crops, right? So that fluctuations indication, price optimization model, accordingly they can fix the price models. And of course, ChatGPT kind of chatbot tailor-made to agricultural data, so that it may be an advisory for the farmers. Right? That can be developed. And of course, one more bilingual. Because you all know in Gujarat, farmers may not understand English. Even none of the states in our India, they are very layman's, right? They are not very educated. So the English is not possible. Of course, there are a lot of initiatives on the government side to support the farmers in their own native language. So the multilingual support is the highlight here. And global scheme generation assistance. Because always, you know, the government has to announce the scheme based on the scenario happening in the farms and whatever crops, right? So the mapping is done. So it will gather the effective farmer feedback and what are the scheme they've already done. It will bring out the awareness also. And if they want to announce a new scheme, they further they have to plan accordingly. So for planning, it takes place like they have to predict the crop yield, what will be the market demand, supply trends. Accordingly, they will take the appropriate schemes. So it is a very helping tool for government to initiate any scheme to support farmers. And as I said, university everywhere, the content creation, right? In any domain sector, education field, it's very helpful to create a personalized study material on its own, right? And generate the 3D visualization of whatever the concept they study. In agricultural university and all, they can have the 3D visualization and the agricultural students can be taught how the crops has to be selected, when is the irrigation has to happen. So all this kind of hands-on training. It is like a training simulators. That is also possible. And as I earlier mentioned, synthetic data not only for crops, farms, also for livestock. It's what is it? All those cattle, pigs, all those cock, everything they have to be maintained better, right? So for that management also can be used. Because any automatic system to do something on its own, they should have the training. So the training data is not good enough sufficient. The synthetic data will be generated by generative AI. It will aid the decision making. Okay, in that way. And even the spread of the diseases can be identified so that necessary preventing the outbreak of the disease among the cattle. Right? Animals, farm animals can be. And content focused generation designs, even planning the nutrition plan for the livestock. Like we all have very many apps for our diet plan, right? Like that, we can have a diet plan for the livestock also. That will be automatically generated based on the type of the farm animal. If it is cattle, how it should be. If it is sheep, how it should be. Something like that. And evaluation and judgment, of course, of a planting strategy possible. And the predictive, as I said earlier, forecasting pesticides and assessing the crop health dynamically based on the planetary parameters possible. And there are some LLMs available for agri. Already we understood, large language model is for a linguistic processing capability it has. So it mostly chatbot kind of development. So here they made use of OpenAI, they create a synthetic data, and it's a multilingual support data to help all farmers across the state in India. So the speech recognition translation is done, then knowledge base is created, right? Then with which it will summarize the content and it will answer the questions. And whatever the chat they have done, it will be formulated into a structured format, tabular format, which is added to the analytical database. With all those analysis, again it is saved back into the chat history. So that chat history will be used for further training. So something like that they have done, it is a multilingual, different language. And one more, they made use of transformers for farmer queries. Suppose it's a question answering system. They have got a lot of fine-tuned transformers. They found the best top-tuned, fine-tuned transformer model with which they build the model. And for finally for refinement, they use the Gemini Flash LLM. And there are a lot of agricultural chatbots have been developed. It is available on literature as well as in market. And these are agri LLMs. Already it is available as an app form also. I don't want to go one by one, but these are all available on market. And there are some pilot projects taken care by the government, right? The Kisan GBT, right? It's a chatbot developed. It is powered by OpenAI. It will answer the questions related to crop cultivation, livestock farming, food processing, everything. And one more thing, the database has been constantly updated with the real happenings across the states. So it is able to answer on to the date, up to date. And Amma Kushi is another. It is done by developed by IIT Madras. Okay, it is what does the thing they address is that there are farmers they go by the traditional methodology, traditional things, but they are not correlating with the scientific capabilities of progress. That mapping is done by IIT Madras. So they have given a very correct solutions, answers based on scientific reasons as well as traditional. And And the Jugalbandi is the one that is available in WhatsApp itself for farmers because they cannot keep their kids on the computer or something like that. So WhatsApp is there for everyone's mobile nowadays. So in WhatsApp, in their regional language itself, they will get to have the announcement of any schemes and all those things. That is why especially for rural population. And one more is farmer.chat. So it will give the recommendation, right? It's not like question answer, right? It will give the recommendation. Of course, it will take the local languages input, either in the question form or voice form or text, right? And they will provide all those help, optimal planting strategy, irrigation strategy, pest control, and new fertilization approaches, so all those things, right? It has been successfully deployed, of course. It is a dynamic one everywhere in all states. And some more application for farmers. So here it is automatically generating the personalized marketing content based on the customer profile. So as I said here, the marketing content generation is done by generative AI. And this is the agronomy advisor that can help the farmers with respect to heat and the CO2 and emissions and all those information they can get it. Because we have got a lot of agronomists, right? So it is replacing the virtual. And of course, finally, digital agri, food, right? In food industry, it has got a lot of scopes, agri food. As I earlier said, of course, synthetic data generation, predictive analytics, food product design, right? When they are developing and designing a food, what are the ingredients which are mixed at every stage, how it can be optimally developed without having much problem, right? So those kinds of things. Autonomous monitoring, because you all know the robots or drones, they will be monitoring the crop yield, right? Crop fields. So for them also some helping tools are there. And the last one is AGI. I think we have heard about this. Next revolution is this. We are done with generative AI. ChatGPT on the chip is exhaustively approached by all companies to take care of their own private data. Next evolution is AGI, artificial general intelligence. Because what are the ones we talked so far, it has got a specific purpose for which that generative AI solution has been developed, AI solution. It cannot do some other task, right? Whatever the task for which it is designed, it is very helpful. But there are some places we have told so many sub-objectives, right? It is taken care by individual AI solution. Why can't I have a common platform which takes care of everything? It does one application, it does one task, it takes the output, give it to the input as the next task, with which it will take care of everything one after another. So if I can develop one AGI, right? There are many functionalities. It is like humans, right? We humans have the capability of doing multiple things simultaneously on one shot. But we cannot expect the same thing for the system. Always, so far, whatever we are familiar with is the normal AI, which can do the specific task. Next one is the AGI. And we all know quantum AI. Now coming up quantum AI and multimodal AI. So they're taking all forms of images. And these are some AI models available. These open source models. Hugging Face, you all know. In Hugging Face, you could find all necessary LLMs. For example, if you want to do summarization, readily available summarization to LLMs are there. If you want to work on multilingual, different language, you have multilingual LLMs there. So like that, there are very many available tools are there and all these things. LangChain. I have not taught many technical stuff. I have given only the connectivity. And these are the benefits of resource efficiency, sustainability, and accuracy of prediction. And adaptive strategies, that is more important. And these are the companies, actually. They are the players in every field who connected the generative AI oriented tools. And the future, emerging trend, as I said, AGI. Right? So towards autonomous system, for example, it can take the decisions, it can do to ensure the compliance, optimize the food safety, enhance the sustainability. So there are multiple goals for single AI solution, right? That can have multiple tasks integratedly done for a particular sector. For example, see, self-learning farm monitoring. Because you all know that always the drones are deployed to monitor the agricultural field. So for that, it's autonomously it has to monitor the soil health, predict the disease outbreaks, and adapt to the climate, They continuously learning from the global patterns. And adaptive supply chain also. So in supply chain, it has to optimize the logistics, right? And then predict the disruption and ensure the efficient food distribution from one place to the other. So it will commit all necessary subtasks, maybe just one goal, right? That is the AGI. So next one is autonomous quality control and intelligent consumer safety and self-optimization. And of course, I have given a lot of positive side of Gen AI. Of course, you all know any technology has got both sides. It has got its own limitation. Still, the farmers are not ready to build any AI solutions. That's a very big hurdle for us. Right? There are a lot many trainings are happening, and because of the bias, data bias, if something goes wrong, they will say that whatever the traditional strategy, what I follow is correct. That's a big problem. And the high quality data is required for training. And of course, the risk, as I said, if something goes wrong, it will damage the crop. And deployment is also a problem. Already they are into traditional mechanism, leading the technology intervention is a big problem. And lack of trust, as I said. And because the future of generative AI and smart agriculture, as I said, here AGI, the main one which is going to take place in smart agriculture. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your valuable and insights to it for the gathering. I now request the participants to ask questions if you have any.
Because lunchtime is very difficult.
Actually, your talk is very informative. Very informative, ma'am. Actually, recently I have heard about the AGI, ASI, AI. That is the conversation between CEO Radhakrishnan, Ganesh Radhakrishnan and Rihanna Nandi. They are telling we believe that AI is the future, but now it is updated. Yeah. So what is the future AI will be? Is ANI or AGI or ASI? What is it might be that?
Yeah. So just now I touched upon AGI, and that's why I said next word buzzword will be next to 5 years to AGI one, right? And the ASI, that is a super intelligence that is long way to reach. That is a 5 year stepping stone of AI. It supersedes this, right? Whatever other capabilities, even more than that it can. But now, sir, we are thinking that the computers are better than us. It's not so. The brain, our brain only behind all those systems, artificial intelligence system. But AGI, as I said right now, it has an integrated solution, all in one. Right? Because you know that suppose if you want to do any specific task, can we be quiet for 2 minutes? See, if I want to do one particular task, I have to be trained on that, so that I am good at it. You all know that we are into some tasks. I am in a teaching profession, people are in IT development, some are in scientists. We are for some specific tasks, but we are expecting the system to do multiple tasks in expertise manner. And with so much of intelligence also. That is the next step actually. Because you all know, suppose if you want a system to do for only smart application management, it has to be exposed for those kind of training data. It should be fine-tuned for that. But if you want the same system to do for something else, it is a very big challenge to make the system to understand that. That's why we always say billion parameters are getting trained. That indicates that how much expertise it has. Like we say, this is my 30th year of teaching experience. Of course, I'm better than 2 years old, 2 years experienced teachers. Like that, the way in which I acquire my knowledge, right, in various forms in my brain, right, on very many folds, very many sectors, and I am able to return it very correctly. And if any question is put forth, I am able to connect multiple domains and able to answer. This is one scenario I am telling you. But if I may ask for some other question related to drone related, I cannot answer. Right? For example, the previous session sir was not telling that the transfer learning is not expertise. Right? But now we are expecting some system which should be expertise enough in various fields, but not having the expertise, it is able to do the multiple tasks. Right? That is a connectivity. It's not like standalone task. that is also like very not possible. Suppose if you have any apps, mobile apps, it may have one or two capabilities. I can simply choose accordingly to do it. But having performed one task, automatically it is connecting with the other task. Here I have given one example last slide. It is monitoring the crop field, accordingly observing that some weather changes are there, climate, accordingly it is correcting the other task. Like the integration among the all analytics in real time. That is the AGI. That is the next future. And AI side may be up to 20 years.
Ma'am, I have a question regarding generative AI. How generative AI is used in sustainable farming?
Which
Sustainable farming.
sustainable farming, because we should see that there are multiple resources are very much required for intelligent farming. Right? For example, starts with water, irrigation, everything. So properly managing that, optimizing the resource allocation, correct time, that also will make sense for sustainability. Right? So there are very many ways in which you can help, that I have already listed a lot of use cases for that.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request our Deputy HOD and the convener,
Research person, Dr. Chitrakala.